There will be time for questions. Every medium can ask 2 questions and at the same time, and then please pass the microphone on. Thank you for your cooperation, and the floor goes to Peter Magyar. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this great interest that you are showing, both from the international and from the Hungarian press. Thank you for joining us today, paying attention to us, to our country. Let's wait for everyone to be seated. As Zsolt has explained, I will be available to you for about 3 hours, but from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. I will have phone calls with a dozen of European and other leaders, and I don't want to make them wait. So please be patient, and also please observe the rule of 2 questions. There are hundreds of press representatives, and I will try to answer every question and answer them briefly. Hungary and the Hungarians wrote history yesterday on the 12th of April. What we saw and experienced in Hungary and also from across the world, it was history in the making in real time. This was a decisive victory, and for Tisza and for Hungary. We have a strong supermajority in the new parliament, and according to the current figures, Tisza will have 138 MPs in parliament, which has a total number of 199 seats. But some ballots have not yet been counted. Still, roughly 400,000 votes are still haven't been counted. Because they were cast elsewhere, and we expect that there will be an additional 3 to 4 MPs for the Tisza party, totaling 142 eventually, which is an never-before-seen mandate. No one has ever voted for the same party. No, this number of people have never voted on the same party. Roughly 3.3 million people voted for us, which gives us a huge mandate, but also a huge responsibility. And Fidesz, the state party, used to have 2/3 majority, but currently they have only 1/5 of the votes in the Hungarian parliament. And I would like to point out here that the reason that the state party won this many seats is that they have a propaganda machine behind them, spending hundreds of billions of forints, spreading lies, morning, day and night. And the entire state apparatus was managed by a state party, very not unlike what we used to have in the 1980s and before that, before the political changes. Now, if without this propaganda machine and without using the state institutions for party policy purposes, such as the secret services and the law enforcement agencies, then we would have even fewer Fidesz seats in parliament, in the next parliament. And it is also no coincidence that we had an unprecedented turnout yesterday. Almost 80% of Hungarians cast their votes, which giving
a kormánynak és ennek az új korszaknak átérezték a magyarok a legkisebb településtől Budapestig, illetőleg a hazájuktól több ezer kilométerre élő magyarok is átérezték a súlyát ennek a választásnak.
Thousands of kilometers away from their home country, they all understood the weight the significance of this vote, that this vote will determine the fate of our beloved country for a long time. So I am very grateful to everyone who was involved in the election process, and in particular those who traveled across continents or drove thousands of kilometers to be here and to help their country and to cast their votes. As we have explained, we expect the transition process or the transition period to be quick and to be short. And according to the rules, the 4th of May is the last date when the election result becomes final, but it can happen sooner. And the president, who is a puppet, must convene the new parliament 30 days after the elections at the latest. But I would like to call upon Tamás Súlyog, the president of Hungary, to convene the parliament as soon as possible. And he shouldn't wait until the 12th of May, but maybe the 5th of May will be possible, or even sooner, if the result is final sooner. And I would also like to call upon him to invite me as the leader of the strongest party to form the new cabinet, because our country has no time to lose. Hungary is in trouble in more than one ways. It's been robbed, it's been betrayed, it's been indebted, it's been devastated. We became the most impoverished and the most corrupt country in the EU. And I would like to repeat what I said last night, that TISA government will represent every Hungarian. Those who did not vote for TISA party. We will represent every Hungarian within the country, but also across the borders. Lajos Kossuth, one of the great historical figures of Hungary, who also has a statue in the Congress in Washington, D.C. And he said, everything for the people, everything with the people, nothing about the people, above the head of the people. That is democracy. This is what Lajos Kossuth said. And this is what will be our guiding light as well. We will do everything in our power to start a new era, because the Hungarians did not only vote for a change of government, but rather a change of the whole regime. TISA did not hide its intentions. We said what the issues were, and we also said that it is not enough to have a simple majority in parliament to resolve all those issues. We need to change the regime, because the country was practically overtaken and managed by an organized crime group. An organized crime syndicate where the political criminals were in cahoots with the economic criminals, and also with the media and the economic elites. So we do.
Hungarian is going to be represented, but of course we are not going to be perfect. We are human beings, and if we make mistakes, and we will make mistakes, so we will step up responsibility, and our country is not going to be a country without responsibilities. Hungarians took a decision in many respects. One of the most important things that they took a decision on, that Hungary's place was, and will be in Europe. Whatever this current outgoing corrupt inhuman power was thinking or doing, or whatever they were trying, and however hard they tried to take out our country from the European Union. It was exactly 23 years ago when we had a referendum to join the European Union. The Hungarians reinforced their intention to remain in the EU. And I would like to thank again more than 50,000 volunteers who have been working for 2 years tirelessly in cold and wind, in the heat of summer, day and night, to support the change of system. Never so many volunteers have supported the political changes. We managed to create a miracle. We did this in 2 years out of nothing. We created the strongest party ever in Hungary, a party that received mandate in Hungary's democratic history. So I would like to thank every single volunteer. We have a lot of tasks, and we would like to start work as soon as possible. Thank you very much for the congratulatory messages from many world leaders. They were congratulating not me, but Hungary, that under such circumstances, in such a system, a state party system, without fear and with courage, people were able to stand up for their country. They were able to stand up for a free and really sovereign country, and they stood up for the fact that Hungary's place was, is, and will be in Europe. I have spoken to several leaders. I have spoken with the President of the European Parliament, and I carry on my conversations with them. And this is going to be one of the biggest tasks of PiSA government to bring back that about 20 billion euro from Europe, without which the Hungarian economy is not able to operate, and there has been no growth for the last 2 years. And I can see that Moscow and the Kremlin, even Beijing, hold on us, and they also accepted the decision of the Hungarian people. They are also open to a pragmatic cooperation, just like Hungary. Well, geography is geography. So hopefully our relationship with Russia will also go in the right direction in the future. So I would like to ask every single country, just like Hungary, respects every country and turns with respect to every country. And unlike until now, we are not going to interfere in the internal matters of any country, not on the Balkans, not in Spain, not in France, not with money or with other methods. And this is what we would like to ask respectfully from every other country as well, that they should look at Hungary as a free, independent, sovereign and European state, a country that is in the two most important, the most important membership in the EU and also in NATO present. So nothing is true of those lies that the propaganda has tried to mislead the Hungarians or part of the Hungarians. You are the representatives of the foreign media. You don't live here. You cannot know what it was like. It was like a Goebbels-like North Korean type propaganda that was a propaganda that had no grain of truth at all. So Viktor Orban was threatening his own people. He was trying to threaten the young children and keep our old grandparents, to keep them in fear. He was threatening them, saying that if a new government comes in, their family members will be taken to the Ukrainian front. So Viktor Orban went to really big depths to trying to keep what he stole and to keep his power and whatever else. I would like to tell every Hungarian and to send this message to every part of the world that in Hungary, nobody wants war. Hungary is on the side of peace, and our PiSA government is going to be the government of peace, unlike the government of Orban Viktor. He never cared about the problems of the Hungarians. We never heard him talk about the healthcare, about the cost of living, about education. He was playing a five-dimensional chess game, and I think this might have been one of the reasons of his downfall. He was talking about the Ukraine, he was talking about Russia, about Iran, about the Ayatollah in Iran, about the American elections, and if he would have been woken from his dream, he would have said that he won the American elections, not Donald Trump. He was talking about absolutely everything, but not about matters and problems that were concerning Hungarians. And Hungarians said no to this. Millions of Hungarians have proven yesterday that the Hungarian history is written by Hungarians. Hungarian history is not written in Moscow or in Brussels or in Washington. It is written on the Hungarian streets, Hungarian squares, and by Hungarians to whom I'm very grateful that they proved this. The first thing is going to be to stop the corrupt dealings, and we would like to join again the European Public Prosecutor's Office. We are going to establish a national agency for recovery and protection of state assets, and we also will define that a prime minister will only be able to serve 2 terms, 8 years, and we are going to re-establish, and we'll do everything to re-establish the rule of law, democracy, and to have checks and balances again. And this is what the Hungarians authorized us to do. It's a huge honor for myself, and there is no bigger honor for a Hungarian than to be the first to sit in the first independent Prime Minister of Batyány. And I would like to tell every Hungarian that 24 hours a day, every single day, and 365 days a year, I intend to serve the Hungarian nation. We consider politics a service, and fundamentally, we are going to bring back politics to people, because politics is about the human beings, about people. And the question is always asked, what was the secret of TISA? What is the secret? How is it possible to do without any support, any state support, only with volunteers, with the Hungarian volunteers, with the support of the Hungarian volunteers, and supports coming in at 500, 1,000 foreign? How will we be able to actually face up to a state party who has all institutions, who have all the money and everything, and not just face up to them, but to gain such a victory, never seen victory over them. But the secret is probably in the fact that politics about people, and this is that many politicians have forgotten. I can see that in Europe and many places. There is one government crisis after another. The mainstream politicians are scared that they see that the party systems are shaking in many European countries. My message is, West European politicians have also asked me what is the secret. I mean, you have to be with the people. You have to put in the work, whether you like it or not. I visited 700 towns and cities in 2 years. There are towns where I've been 7 times. In the last 2 years, I was more on the Hungarian streets and squares than in my own bed, in my own flat. So this takes a lot of sacrifice. I have seen my 3 sons a lot less than I should have, than I would have liked to. So we were going around on a Ford Transit, a 25-year-old little van, and this is how we toured the country. And I was there in the smallest villages as well. I met many million people, hundreds of thousands of people. I looked in their eye, we shook hands, and we talked about how we can help. How can we prove that politics can be nice, can be beautiful, it can be honest, can be just and it can be useful. Many can say that this is a populist stance. If so, then it is a positive populism, because this is what politics should be about. It should not be about politically correct speeches. It should be about honesty, about humanity, and about the person. This is what we did, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy that this we did. I'm very happy that I didn't listen to those who were telling me things, the analysts, the Budapest media representatives who were telling us that, oh, you're going to be tired of it. In the country, nobody cares about politics. So I saw exactly the opposite. And this is what yesterday's result also shows. And this is how this could happen yesterday. So we also did the following, that whenever Orban Viktor actually the Hungarians abroad, and he was supporting Cornelius Timiont in Romania, then we decided that we would walk to Nagyvárad. That is already in Romania. We walked 1 million steps on foot. We walked through the smallest Hungarian villages, and with the Hungarian, for me, this is what politics is about. So that, and it shows. I mean, we can see that this is what means also to people. We got a huge task, which means big responsibility. And I would like to repeat again that the government is a group, a team, and it's not going to be king in our government like it was under Orban. So he's going to be rather a team leader who is going to coordinate the tasks and is seeking out the opinion of his ministers, of his advisors, and also relies on the representatives and also on the Hungarian people. I changed a lot in these 2 years. I learned how important it is to have direct contact with people, or as it is said, it's very important. It's extremely important to be there. It is not enough to go in a few studios or use Facebook and send messages from there and take decisions above their heads. This is not how TISA is going to function. I mean, it's exactly how the TISA community was working in these last 2 years. We are going to take decisions together. We will try and include them in decision making. So this could mean referendums as well, and it could also mean that local matters.
And we've just been listening to Peter Magyar, who is the Prime Minister-elect in Hungary after a very decisive victory over Viktor Orban. Now, he did say that his government will...
Nem Brüsszelben, hogy harcoljon, hanem ahhoz, hogy meghozza a legjobb döntéseket. Úgyhogy mi ezt fogjuk folytatni. Egy pillanatra kitérnék a külpolitikára, mert nyilván nagyon sok sajtóorgánumot leginkább ez érdekel. Világosan döntöttek tegnap a magyar emberek, hogy büszkék arra, hogy a legerősebb szövetségekhez, az Európai Unióhoz és a NATO-hoz tartozunk. Büszkék arra, hogy már 1000 éve azon dolgoztak, azért küzdöttek az őseink, a királyaink, királynőink, fejedelmeink és rengeteg magyar ember, hogy Európához tartozunk. Büszkék vagyunk arra, hogy védtük Európa határait sok száz éven keresztül. Büszkék, minden magyar ember büszke az európai identitására, és pontosan látják az emberek, és látták, hogy bármit hazudik, ez az aljas hatalom, nekik a propaganda, szidja és vádolja az Európai Uniót azzal, hogy háborút akarnak. Mindenki tudja, hogy az Európai Unió egy békeprojekt, ami nagyjából azért jött létre a legelején az európai közösség, hogy az alapító országok között ne legyen soha többet háború. És ez be is váltotta, mert az Európai Unió területén mióta létrejött, korábban más néven nem volt háború. A magyar emberek pontosan érzik, hogy azt, hogy ma béke van Magyarországon, az nagyrészt az Uniónak és a NATO-nak köszönhető. Pontosan látják a magyar emberek, és mi is látjuk, hogy az Európai Uniónak vannak hibái. Persze, hogy vannak hibái, egy 27 tagállamból álló óriási szervezet, rengeteg nemzeti érdekkel, párt érdekkel, lobby érdekkel. Jó magam dolgoztam 8-9 évig Brüsszelben diplomataként, a magyar kormány diplomatájaként, az állandó képviseleten, és volt szerencsém kiismerni, megismerni az Európai Unió működését, meglehetősen bonyolult, túl bürokratizált működését, az ottani kompromisszum keresés és kötés nehézségeit és szépségeit. Én azt tudom mondani, hogy meg lehet találni a kompromisszumot. Itt vagyunk, és én magam személyesen is, és Magyarország is kész arra, hogy hozzájáruljon a kompromisszumokhoz. Lesznek vitáink, szeretném itt is elmondani, bizonyosan, de ezzel semmi gond nincsen, hiszen minden tagállam azért van ott, hogy a saját nemzeti érdekét képviselje, a saját vállalatai, a saját polgárai érdekét képviselje. De nem azért megyünk oda, hogy harcoljunk, azért, hogy harcoljunk, és utána kiírjuk a magyar embereknek óriás plakáton, hogy Brüsszel gonosz és meg kell állítani. Én azt tudom vállalni, és vállalom, hogy mindig a magyar emberek érdekét fogom képviselni Strasbourgban is, és Brüsszelben is, de ugyanezt fogom tenni Moszkvában, Berlinben, vagy éppen Washingtonban, vagy Pekingben, mindenhol. Kőkeményen, de nagyon őszintén a magyar érdekeket fogom képviselni. És én azt látom, volt szerencsém már a müncheni biztonságpolitikai konferencián is egyeztetni számtalan uniós vezetővel, hogy ez egy teljesen normális dolog. És ezt is várják el a más tagállamok vezetői, hogy őszintén beszéljünk egymással. Főleg, amikor akár egy négy szemközti megbeszélés van, vagy egy nagyobb tárgyalás. Azt várják el, hogy a vitáinkat közösen megbeszéljük és rendezzük. Ezt tudom mondani, hogy Magyarország ott lesz, konstruktív partner lesz, hiszen Európa bajban van nagyon sok tekintetben, hiszen egy háború még mindig itt van mellettünk több mint 4 éve, nagyon nehéz gazdasági és egyéb helyzetben van Európa, lépést vesztett, és akkor finoman fogalmaztam, óriási versenyképességi, társadalmi problémái vannak Európának. Mi itt vagyunk és próbálunk segíteni. Szívesen segítek én magam is abban, hogy felgyorsítsuk ezt a folyamatot, hogy ne tovább szélesítsük, hanem inkább a meglévő struktúrát próbáljuk meg áramvonalasabbá tenni, könnyebben döntéseket hozni, befogadni azokat az új tagállamokat, akik készen áll, tagjelölteket, akik készen állnak, nem várakoztatni őket valamely ország tagállam belpolitikai érdekéből, mert ez nem korrekt és nem szolgálja az európai emberek biztonságát, érdekét és az európai gazdaság fejlődését. Számtalan alkalommal tapasztaltuk, önök is biztos, minden európai polgár, hogy az Európai Unió vezetése, hogy is fogalmazzam finoman, nincs igazi vezetése az Európai Uniónak. A Kissinger kérdést a mai napig nem nagyon lehet megválaszolni. Kérem szépen... Okay. I'll just get the information. I will provide you in some minutes. So, kérem szépen, mi ott leszünk, és segíteni fogunk, és szeretnénk segíteni, hogy legyen Európának erős hangja, hogy Európa tudjon előre lépni, hogy úgy hozzunk közös döntéseket, akár a versenyképesség területén, akár más területeken, hogy az jó legyen az európai polgároknak, jó legyen a magyar embereknek is. Csak azt az információt kaptam, megosztom önökkel ezt a kis színest, hogy sokan úgy vélték, hogy eltűnt Szijjártó Péter, magyar külügyminiszter, hiszen nem lehetett látni tegnap Orbán Viktor győzelmi beszéde során, de ma megvan, mindenkit megnyugtatok, hogy Szijjártó Péter megvan. Ma 10 órakor megjelent a külügyminisztériumban, ahol korábban orosz hackerek voltak benne egy éven keresztül, Gyarmati Eszter társaságában, és azóta a legközvetlenebb kollégáival a szankciós anyagokhoz köthető dokumentumokat darálják le éppen. Ez történik Magyarországon jelenleg. Ugye ezt már tudjuk, napok óta tudjuk, hogy elindult az iratok megsemmisítése, mint a régi állampárti időkben. Beindultak az iratmegsemmisítők, nem csak a minisztériumokban, hanem a neres háttérintézményekben, az Orbáni elithez köthető cégeknél és háttérintézményeknél is. azt tudom nekik mondani, hogy ez kevés lesz. És csak ezt azért mondtam el, hogy értsék és lássák a kontextust, hogy milyen helyzet van Magyarországon. Egy normális átadás átvételnél, egy normálisan működő országban, egy politikai kampányban, hogyha van egy ellenzéki párt, amely ráadásul már másfél éve bizonyosan meghaladja népszerűségben a kormánypártot, és mindenki által tudhatóan át fogja venni a kormányzás felelősségét, akkor a leköszönő miniszterelnök megoszt vele a nemzetbiztonsága szempontjából fontos információkat. Akár az utolsó időben még be is vonja a döntéshozatalba, kikéri a véleményét. Itt nem ez van, hanem itt semmilyen információt nem ismerünk. És akkor gyorsan még a végén elmondom, aztán hagyunk kérdéseknek nagyon sok időt, hogy a lényeg az, hogy nem ismerünk nagyon sok mindent. Olyan nemzetközi szerződések vannak. Titkos kormányhatározatok tömkelegét hozta az Orbán kormány. Olyan titkosított dokumentumokat gyártott és írt alá, amiről semmit nem tudunk. Rengeteg olyan nemzetközi kötelezettségvállalása van jelenleg a hazánknak, amiről a magyar emberek semmit nem tudnak, de még a legnagyobb ellenzéki párt vezetője, a leendő miniszterelnök sem. Olyan hiteleket vett föl Orbán Viktor, teljesen ismeretlen feltételekkel, kamatokkal, amikről semmit nem tudunk. Úgy kötött óriási pénzekbe kerülő nemzetközi szerződéseket, amiknek a részleteiről semmit nem tudunk. Úgyhogy a legfontosabb feladatunk az lesz az átadás átvételnél, hogy minden dokumentumot megszerezzünk, ami megmaradt a darálás után, minden kódot, azért, hogy a hazánk működőképes maradjon az átadás átvétel után. Gondolok itt a kritikus infrastruktúrákra, az informatikai rendszerekre, a hazánk nemzetbiztonságát alapvetően befolyásoló rendszerekre, a devizatartalékra, a kőolajtartalékra, sok minden másra. Mi erre készülünk kész csapattal, kész tervekkel. Ugye többfajta terv volt a Tiszánál, kétharmados győzelemre, sima feles többségre is. Most a kétharmadosat kell szerencsére élesítenünk. Úgyhogy nálunk minden rendelkezésre áll. Újra felszólítanám a báb köztársasági elnököt, hogy hallja meg a nép szavát. Népszava az Isten szava, és a lehető leggyorsabban hívja össze a alakuló ülését az országgyűlésnek, és engem pedig fogadjon a Sándor palotában, Sándor Móricz gróf egykori szebb napokat látott palotájában. Mi mindent meg fogunk tenni azért, hogy miután megismertük ezeket a dokumentumokat, legyen szó titkos kormányhatározatokról, titkosított szerződésekről, hitelszerződésekről, ezeket áttekintsük, és utána, ami nem sérti a magyar nemzetbiztonság érdekeit, vagy Magyarország pénzügyi érdekeit, akkor azokat nyilvánosság elé tárjuk. Szeretnénk megismertetni a magyar emberekkel az élet minden területén, oktatás, egészségügy, infrastruktúra és a költségvetés, gazdaság természetesen, hogy hogy áll a hazánk. Hogy mit hagytak maguk után a rablók, akik szétrabolták és elárulták a hazájukat. Szeretnénk egy ilyen stocktakinget csinálni, és utána azonnal egy stabil alapokon nyugvó költségvetést létrehozni. Nyilvánvalóan módosítani kell a jelenlegi költségvetést, hiszen már összeomlott 2025-ben. Azt hiszem már kétszer módosították, és az első 3 hónapban akkora hiányt ért el Orbán Viktor, amekkora soha nem volt a magyar költségvetésben 1990 óta. A világ végignézte tulajdonképpen kívülről, hogy Orbán Viktor
from the outside how Viktor Orban helped his own country clear Orban and his cronies, and it's the task of the Hungarians, and luckily they rose to this task yesterday to start a completely new period, a new era, so that we have a functioning, sovereign, free country. So there are lots of things that I would have to talk about, the constitution, the responsibility, what we are going to do, but let's leave some time for your questions. I've spoken at length already. So now you have to, I would like to ask everyone to introduce themselves and what country they have come from and what medium they are reporting to. And although this is an international press conference. But the first questions are coming from the Hungarian journalists. In the past, these press conferences such that the propaganda media, supported by the millions, so they would just ask the questions agreed in advance, and the independent media was not able to ask questions or could not even participate. So first of all, I would like to ask the big editorials in Hungary who did not have the chance and very often had to function from donations, who actually were fulfilling the free and media's function. So I would like to give them the opportunity to ask questions first. So from Hungary, Partizan, I have two questions. You have called upon Csúlyog Tamás, the president, to resign. What do you say? I mean, what kind of steps would you undertake to do this? Should he not resign? And during the campaign, this is my second question, you said that you are not going to go among the people only in the campaign, during the campaign, but also later on. So can you have some undertaking? When are you going to go out and visit the country again? When are you going to meet again the electorate in person? And thank you very much for both questions. And I would like to start with the second question. Many people said we should carry on with this in the night and we should do a kind of a thank you tour. They said we should set out on foot. But aside from the joke, this is what I said, and this is what I'm going to keep to. I would like to be among the people, not just, but we said that we are not going to be only there around that little van during the campaign, but me and my team, we are always going to be approachable. So these 30 days that we need for the formation of the government, to set up a new cabinet, to put out the transition period, this is now a very important 30 days. This is what we are going to have to do this now. So this is going to define how we are going to be able to start all the work, the tax decreases, the stabilization, to bring back the funds from the EU, etc. So after that, you can rely on me that I'm going to go out in the country as well, maybe not visiting 6 or even 9 towns and cities, as I did until now. But as I mentioned also before, fundamentally, I don't believe that a government should meet in a monastery. I'm sure there are going to be meetings that are matters that are not financially otherwise sensitive, so we would like they can be discussed in open meetings as well. So we would like to do politics in a different way, and to show an example, not just in Hungary, but also in the whole world, to show what politics is, what politics should be. It's not about what Orban did with his 5-dimensional politics. I mean, that kind of those politicians who pretend to be and preaching about peace and posting on Facebook about peace, they are the ones who are the warmongers. I mean, everybody knows, I believe, that Viktor Orban said a few weeks ago that if Donald Trump would ask, then Viktor Orban and his government, would also consider sending even soldiers into Iran. I mean, Viktor Orban has one son. When he planned a military mission in Chad, in Africa, with 200 Hungarian soldiers for tens of millions of foreigners, so that he said he knew that the Hungarian soldiers, or at least half of the Hungarian soldiers, could die there. So we are talking, it is 2026. We are talking about the son of the prime minister who is planning a military mission. So this is not the kind of politics that we represent. We want to work for peace at home, between Hungarians and also everywhere in Europe. And your other question, my answer is that it's clear to everyone, and I mentioned that yesterday as well, Hungarians voted for a change of system, and Tamás Súlyog and the other puppets, they are part of that system. So they were elected not because they had the qualities or they had the human qualities or because they would have stood up for the unity of the country, which would have been the job, the task of the president, or to support those who are in need, so that Hungary should have a human face. I mean, that would have been the task of the president. He was set there, he was put there that to be that. I mean, just to sign everything that is set in front of him, anything, the fundamental law, any kind of law. So that's not what we need. So that's not a president who who let it happen that the country is robbed, that literally that the National Bank got robbed. He didn't say anything when several thousand children were destroyed by pedophiles, and by pedophiles who were awarded, given clemency to, or even appointed by the government, and the president did not say anything. So that, in my view, is not a president. So, and if he didn't hear it yesterday, I'm calling upon him that he should leave. That's also a decision that the Hungarians decided. We have a two-thirds majority, and this means that we can also change the fundamental law, and that means that we could we have quite a free hand. So I don't want to play here the lawyer, but I think if he wanted to keep his remaining dignity, and he would leave his office, because we do not need the puppets of the mafia. Hungarians deserve to have a president who all represents the unity of Hungarians and stands up for a free and democratic Hungary, who is not going to sit with his hands in his pockets to that the representatives of the Russian secret services are here and wanted to influence the Hungarian elections. So such a person cannot be the president of Hungary on the 75th anniversary of the 19 uprising. So if he doesn't go, then we will have our methods. We are not going to do anything that we are not going to employ anything that's not within the rule of law, and that's not how we want to establish a country of the rule of law. So the next question is from the reporter of the 444. You mentioned that with the two-third mandate, so you are going to limit how long a prime minister can serve, only 2 terms. So the important question is that can you actually state that Viktor Orban is never going to be again Prime Minister of Hungary, and that also you are going to only serve 2 terms? And you mentioned earlier that if we cross the bridge, so we will cross the bridge when we are there at the river. So what can you tell about the ministerial structure of the future government? Thank you very much. You heard now Kaufman Balázs, the journalist, who is thanks to him, partly at least, that we can be here. He was the one 2 years ago who wrote the article about the clemency scandal that fundamentally changed Hungary. And that also resulted in me appearing here on the scene. I just wanted to mention this, and also in regard to the function and results of the independent press. So first of all, the structure. We mentioned that several times. We said that fundamentally it will be very different. The government structure will be very different from how it looked under Fidesz. Fidesz had every ministry will have a separate function. We will have a Minister of Health, Environment, and the economic matters will be separated out. There will be a separate presidency, the secret services will be put back where they belong, and information and will get back to the foreign ministry, and the ministries will be responsible for their decisions. I think many names are already known. A lot more names are known than it could be expected. On the Fidesz, even from one Fidesz government to another, the names were not well known. So it is with so it is very important to put together a team with whom they are planning to govern the country. Zsolt Hegedűs, etc. I could mention many. I'm not going to announce now any new ones if this where the question was going to, but you will hear it. The Parliament will hear it, and people will see them. So they are all experts. They are not simply buttons. They are not just puppets. And they're not corrupt. They are not puppets who are deceiving the country. But expertise will come back, and that is very important so that we can move ahead. And I can state here, we received a mandate for one term, and so if I can cope, and if I still have trust of the Hungarian people, I cannot see 5 years ahead. We asked the mandate for this 4 years, and that's that's a great honor for us. And Viktor Orban has been already 20 years and Prime Minister, so this is also going to refer to him. So he will not be able to be Prime Minister of Hungary again, but even so, he was the one who served for the longest time. He had a huge mandate, he had huge opportunities, he could have achieved big things for Hungary, and to make sure that Hungary is a developing Hungarian country. He did not take this opportunity, so that's down to him now. So the next one is from the reporter of 24.hu. I would like to ask you, I can't see you, yes? So how are you going to take people to task? I have two questions in regard to that. You mentioned that to introduce anti-corruption measures. What are these? What are going to be the first ones in this regard? And also the how and when you are going to be able to set up the office to the anti-corruption to regain the lost assets, for recovery and protection of the state assets. So first of all, what are going to be the anti-corruption steps? So if we would like to, I mean, it will take about 6 months until we are going to set up an anti-corruption office. I know many people don't trust the offices, but the intention is important. I mean, do we really want to do something or not? Not the name is the one that matters. That will include all the state sector. So there will be anonymous reporting possibilities. We want to get rid of corruption in the future. I mean, Hungary cannot improve and develop. I mean, for a long time, it was an accepted thing. We talked about corruption. So that actually is called theft. And the money, the billions of forints that was stolen year after year through legislation, through corruption. I mean, that money is missing from the Hungarian child protection, from Tisadob, from the Child Institute Children's Home, where the fridge was under lock and barrel, so that the 5-year-old kid cannot ask for a second helping. So I would like that nobody accepts that this is normal to steal public money. But our biggest task is to have bring back independence. So we are going to get rid of leaders be it in the police, be it in the secret services. I mean, quite often they were put there to actually hush things up. They were forced, the smaller officers or even soldiers, as Palinkas mentioned this, so that they should not go after the ones responsible and the real criminals. And they started rather politically motivated processes against journalists or against artists. If we bring back if we separate the political and operative leadership of the police as well, and we'll say that a minister cannot actually interfere with the job of a police officer, or not in the actual expert into their tasks. I mean, then it means that we are a step further ahead, and then we are going to organize this office for the recovery and protection of state assets. This is going to be one of the hardest tasks, to organize this agency and to lead this agency. We have candidates, but we are not. We must not make a mistake here. There is a huge expectation from the Hungarians, and also the interest of Hungary is, of course, to actually uncover the offences that was committed over the past decades. So we want to work together with these. They are not going to work against each other. We are going to, these offices and agencies will work together. I mean, luckily we have a two-thirds mandate, so it means that we will have agency and competency. So we would like a coordinating function here. There are so many matters. I just want to mention a few. 650 million was stolen from the National Bank, and the assets given to Matthias Corvinus University. So all asset transfers. There were lots of sales or leases of very important buildings, the procurement of gas and oil, the PAKS, the loan agreements for PAKS, and also support. We have to examine all the agreements and contracts and the financing of party. So we also have plans that every public procurement exceeding 10 million will be re-examined. And I only just mentioned a few of those that, and I'm really sorry that I'm speaking so quickly. Apologies to the interpreters. So I just mentioned a few things that is going to be the task of this agency, of this organization. So this corruption on an industrial scale, this is why the Hungarians were not able to get the from the European Union the support. This is why the money disappeared. This is why we have become the poorest country in Europe. So I can just tell you that in our hopes that in June we are going to be there. I will do personally everything to organize this agency as soon as possible. That there is an agency, the so-called Sovereignty Protection Agency, could be replaced by this, and the job of which was definitely not the protection of sovereignty, but 6.2 billion forint was allocated to this agency that did nothing. So we could that could be replaced with this. And many we are waiting for Mr. Palinkas and others. We are waiting. We would like to see them to return to here or to the army. If I've got the journalist of Telex. You mentioned yesterday that Viktor Orban congratulated you for your victory. Did he say anything else to you? And my other question is, you have asked the president and also others to resign. but you did not mention the bank, the National Bank president. I mean, he was also appointed by Viktor Orban. So why didn't you ask to resign, or how do you see that you can cooperate with him? The congratulatory telephone call, it's not a secret. It was a very brief conversation, and it went as I thought. I did not think that it would happen, but the Prime Minister actually did call me, and my he's so Gulyás was at the other end of the line, the who is an old friend of mine, and he said that go, he's going to ring me from his own phone. I asked him to give me his number. He gave me the four last digits of his number because I wanted to know that it's not an unknown number. So I told him I'm Magyar Peter. When he called, he told me I'm Orban Viktor, and I would like to congratulate you to your victory, election victory. And I replied, thank you very much for the congratulatory message in the name of Hungary. And it's a huge honor, the biggest honor to sit in the chair of Batyányi, to be able to serve the Hungarian nation. And I also mentioned that if I'm allowed to say, from today, the 13th of April, it is our joint responsibility to bring together, to unite the Hungarian nation, and to do everything so that it will be better and easier for the Hungarians from one day to the other. And his reply was good night. And that. And the second question that you asked regarding the Hungarian National Bank, the president of the bank, I can say that it's not an he wasn't left out by mistake. As I mentioned, Hungary is in a very difficult financial and economic situation. The Hungarian National Bank is responsible, firstly, that the stability of our currency should be provided. This was not really, it didn't really happen recently. Inflation and other problems occurred. The way I see, you can convince me of the opposite. Mihai Varga has actually started a work there, a job there, that is really the task of the National Bank. And in a country that is in economic difficulties, it is very important to have a cooperation between the fiscal sector and also the government, and of course to respect the independence of the National Bank. This is why we decided so that we are going to try to work like that. And if we see that the president of the National Bank and also the National Bank is working, is carrying out the tasks that are his and is and he's working on the economic policy and fiscal policy of the country, then we can work together. It's not, we don't want to create a bigger chaos and to shake the trust of the international monetary market. So that's my reply to you. Thank you. And the next question is coming from RTL. So yeah, we should now give the floor to the international media as well. Thank you. I'm from RTL News. I can see that the piece of paper was put in front of you regarding Peter Szijjártó while you were talking. I mean, if there is any further detail on that piece of paper, where did the information come from, and are there any kind of is there any evidence that this is what's happening in the foreign ministry, and what is the plan with the Russian oil? I mean, thank you. So the first question, we have reliable internal information. Even until now, in the last few weeks, many people stood up in public or otherwise who informed us about rather dreadful criminal activities that was happening behind the curtain in various ministries, and our police, our prosecutors, and everybody knows that the TISA government is going to rely on all of them. They made a commitment to the protection of Hungary, the protection of the country. They didn't. It is not for the protection of Viktor Orban. So if they are aware of any kind of criminal activity, then they have the responsibility. So this is how the information came about, and we rely on everybody who has been working properly, who has been adhering to their oath, and the TISA government really needs very good policemen, very good prosecutors, very good secret agents, etc. So this is we have these in this country, but they were not allowed to function. So now they will be able to undertake their multitudes of tasks that are awaiting them. But we are also receiving information from other resources, from ambassadors, for example. So if somebody was a career a diplomat somewhere, it's they also saw very with great sadness what happened to their country, and also what happened in the Hungarian ministries. Those people, those public servants, we are really relying on, and now they can reach into their drawers and get the documents, the professional documents that they prepared. They can bring them out again. They were not allowed to use before. So it's like the foreign journalists don't know that we have a beautiful poem that was written in 1956 when the communist the dictatorship was at the highest. Gyula Ilyes, our poet, wrote a 10-page long poem that's only one sentence regarding about the that was in his drawer, and they were able to publish it only during the uprising of 1956. So it's the same thing. So if you have your professional opinions and decisions in your drawers, now we can start working on those. So Russian oil, I mentioned that several times, but I will say it again. The TISA government will do everything to diversify the procurement of energy for two reasons. One is that is safe, and energy safety, security is very important, and that's how we can obtain it in the cheapest way. So if somebody buys oranges from 3 different locations, and then it means that even if there is a geopolitical conflict somewhere, then they will be able to still get oil and gas, and also there will be a competition in the price. So we win on the price as well. So I would like to get back to what I said at the beginning. We are not able to change geography. We can change a lot of things. Hungary got out of trouble many times by the hair, but the geography we can't change, and it doesn't. We are always going to try to get oil, to obtain oil the safest and the cheapest way. But look at the Druzhba pipeline that is endangering the energy supply of Hungary, and what's happening in Tehran is the same. So this is our interest, Hungary's interest, to be as diversified as possible, to have the capacities that are yet to be built, and so that MOL, or the Hungarian nation, actually enters into contracts and agreements to get from east or west or from wherever energy. And I can also say that there is a war at the moment. This is why the sanctions are happening, but we can see the events in Tehran and Iran, and sanctions are occasionally lifted because otherwise countries would stop functioning because of the lack of oil. So as soon as this war is over, and I really hope, we really hope that the dialogue and the negotiations will have a result, and this murderous war is not going to go on for much longer. It's not the interest of Europe either to buy raw materials at a higher price. I mean, that also is difficult. I mean, it will damage the competitiveness of Europe. And I also want to say that I will also stand up for human rights, but we shouldn't shoot ourselves in the foot. I mean, we would like to ensure that we get oil and gas from as many sources as possible. Thank you very much. And let's give the floor now to the foreign press. Peter Magyar said that his first trip is going to take him to Poland and then to Austria. So let's start with Poland and Austria. So first of all, the reporters of the Polish television. Yes. And you have two questions.
A date for your trip to Warsaw. Would you meet President of Poland, who supported Viktor Orban during the campaign? And the last thing, Viktor Orban granted asylum to two politicians from Poland, Zbigniew Ziobro and Marcin Romanowski. You said many times that you will get it back. Would you tell us when? Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the first question, my answer is that yes, I spoke yesterday to Donald Tusk, Prime Minister. He was very kind. He called me, he congratulated, and he expressed his joy that Hungary is not going to be a puppet state of Russia, but it's returning back to Europe, and that's how the Hungarians decided as well. And hopefully, my first trip is going to take me to Warsaw at the beginning of May. I'm very glad, and I hope I can also get to Gdansk and to other beautiful Polish cities. This is a very special relationship that we have with Poland. It's not just a relationship; it's a very deep friendship, an alliance. We had they had the same kings and queens. The Poles have helped us in these in the past 1,000 years, or we helped them. We also have a very nice saying that Hungarian and Polish are very good friends. They fight together and they drink their wine together. They to Viktor Orban's personal issues. I mean, he already actually destroyed the relationship between us and Poland, and we are trying to reestablish this. And for me personally, this is very important, and I'm very glad about that we can reestablish this the same kind of relationship that we had for decades, centuries. And if I go to Poland, of course, I will be very happy to meet the democratically elected president as well. He did not congratulate me, but that doesn't matter. Sometimes silence speaks more than many words. So what was the other question? I'm sorry. Yeah, Romanowski and Ziobro were the other questions. So I already spoke about this quite clearly. I believe that I would like to say that they are not going to stay here very long, and Hungary is not going to be a storage space for internationally sought people. The North Macedon person as well, who is also a wanted person. I mean, this is not just because this is fair, but this is what we expect from other countries as well. So God forbid, I mean, if Hungarian criminals or politician criminals go to another country, that they would extradite them in accordance with the European regulations, these potential criminals. So I can say to Ziobro and Bronsky, I mean, if they don't have anything to hide, then they could go home and stand there. I mean, as an ex-Ministry of Justice, he knows how the Polish justice system is operating, and he can clear himself from the accusations against him. But so if they haven't gone yet, maybe they already left Budapest, I don't know. So otherwise there would be no other way but to provide them to Poland. So the next question is from the Austrian public television service. You have the floor. Thank you very much. So I only speak a little bit of Hungarian as a journalist. I would like to ask you, what will be your goal in your upcoming visit with Austria, and how are you going to develop your relationship with the neighboring countries? Will you reverse Viktor Orban's stance on the support of Ukraine, and to unlock the credit that was blocked for Ukraine? So, thank you. I think I'm going to speak tonight with the Austrian Chancellor. I have met him in Munich as well, and we agreed that I'm going to Austria. I mean, we did share, we are the same country, we have a beautiful joint history, and they are very important economic partners as well. Lots of Hungarians work in Austria and supporting the development of the Austrian economy. We have very good relationship, but again, this relationship deteriorated as well, not as much, but deteriorated during the reign of Viktor Orban. So I would like to have again a very strong relationship between Hungary and Austria, not just because of the historic reasons, but culturally, economically. And in general, I would like to say that we don't just want to revive the Polish-Hungarian relationship, but the Visegrad Four as well. So if they are open, and if we have the opportunity, we would like to extend the Visegrad Four cooperation. We have Czech, Austria, and Slovakia, and we have the Visegrad Four. So we could actually merge these. We could also invite others, Croatia, Slovenia, for example. I would like to have a very, inside of the EU would be a very strong Central Europe. I mean, this means cultural, economic, infrastructural connections. I mean, with Austria, this functions very well, but for example, with Warsaw, there is no direct rail link. So there are lots of tasks, but I think this is the interest of every country, the interest of Austria and Hungary as well. So I do hope that we can move ahead in this respect as well. The 90 billion loan to Ukraine, I'm not quite sure what we are talking about, because in December at the meeting of the European Council, Viktor Orban was given an opt-out, and they decided that Hungary and maybe the Czech Republic and Slovakia will be left out of this 90 billion loan, so it doesn't concern our countries. This is how it was accepted. So I'm going to discuss with the European leaders. So why does this to be brought up again? I agree that Hungary should be left out of this. Hungary is in a very difficult financial situation. So the job of Hungary is now to bring back the money that belongs to us, that every single member state has received, and using it for the development of their economy, but we didn't receive it. So we are not able to take out more loans. I mean, the debt, the national debt in Hungary increased threefold, this is an accepted decision from December in Brussels. So I'm not quite sure why this is reopened. I know the standpoint of Viktor Orban has changed. He accepted and he didn't accept. And 2022, he was saying still and banging the table with the fist that Ukraine should be accepted into the EU, and then he became the biggest opponent. So we are trying to be always to communicate coherently and not to change our standpoint every few months. So we cannot support now the accession of Ukraine because they are in war. It is not possible to accept by the European Union. I mean, you can't even start proper negotiations and discuss all the accession agreements. So I see that there are noises in that direction. I believe that most of the member states don't as a possible scenario and have the same opinion as me, that every member state or potential member state needs to discuss every single chapter, and even if Ukraine does that, then we are going to have a referendum whether Ukraine should be accepted into the EU or not. But I don't think this will happen within a very short period of time.
Good afternoon, Mr. Magyar. My first question goes towards
So my first question is concerning the relationship with Israel. When I was here, I was
and also Hungary has made a decision to start a process that Hungary withdraws from the ICC. Will you revise this decision? And second, you have just underlined how important it is to forge close ties with European leaders. What will the relationship look like between Hungary and Germany? What kind of relationship would you like to build with Germany's Chancellor, Mr. Merz? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Igen, tudomásom szerint, de keresem a papírjaimban.
As far as I know, and I'm looking in my papers here, the IC started so I think the Orban actually started getting out of the ICC. I mean, this is a process that we cannot stop now, but we are going to restart this, that Hungary is going to join again the ICC. I think it's the international communities and also Hungary's interest. And with regard to the relationship with Israel, yes, there is a special relationship between Israel and Hungary. Lots of Hungarians live in Israel, and many Israelis come to Hungary. We have a very strong Jewish community in Hungary, one of the biggest in Europe, luckily in peace and security and safety. In Hungary, anti-Semitism was zero tolerance. So this is going to continue as well, and we are not going to do anything that the Orban government did. So no more propaganda publications. And so Israel is also a very important economic partner, and we are going to strive for a pragmatic relationship. Yes, we have every single decision and every matter has to be checked, but we are going to block the EU decisions vis-à-vis Israel. So we are going to see what kind of decisions be taken by the EU. And but in Germany is the most important partner of Hungary. We have a very strong cultural and historic ties. Lots of Hungarians are working in Germany. Matters have also gone worse there, and between Mr. Merz and Viktor Orban, there was no proper bilateral discussion at all, and we would like to have a very strong, very tight relationship. I had a chance to speak to Mr. Merz in Munich and also on the phone. He also said that he would like to invite me to Berlin as soon as possible to discuss questions, and then have our political relationships also should be as strong as the economic relationships, because I think the German investors are doing a good job. A lot of Hungarians are employed by them, provided jobs by them, and I know there are German investors who were who were not given a fair competition by the previous government, but that matters also. I could say that also about Austrians. So we would like to provide the same conditions for everybody. So unlike the government did towards the provided chances to the polluting Chinese or South Korean companies. We would, of course, support the Hungarian small and medium entrepreneurs and large companies, so that the foreign and Hungarian investors also see that the rule of law is working, that the legal regulations are not passed in the dark of the night. So there should be reliability, transparency, and security in the courts, in politics. And I'm really looking forward to the cooperation with Germany. And I personally, as well, would like to have good relationship. I studied in Hamburg. I really love that city, and um, I don't have much chance to speak German otherwise. So we are about it's about half time now. The floor goes to the BBC reporter, Katja Adler from the BBC.
What should we expect from Peter Magyar? What will you be standing for? And if I can ask as a second question, can we...
Sorry, standing for...
Yes, what principles will you be standing for? What should we expect from you? And secondly, can we get a clear answer, please, on the Hungarian veto on the loan to Ukraine? Will you be removing it or not? Thank you.
Thank you.
The first question, perhaps I already hinted at it. So what can be expected? We would like to work together with our European partners. Hungary will be a country of a rule of law, a reliable partner and ally, not just in the EU, but also with the United Kingdom, within NATO, with the United States. So they are going to see that Hungary is going to be a front runner, and that's the position where we would like to get back to. I know that we have very big competitors, and they are far ahead of us. But from me and Tisa, you will see that we are going to stand up for human rights, for the rule of law, even if that clashes with if there's a clash with economic interests. We will always the human rights. We will be a reliable and honest partner. It might not be always easy to work together, because we are going to stand up for Hungarian interests, but we are going to be there reliably if there is a problem, and we are going to communicate honestly. And I believe that if somebody communicates honestly, if everybody honestly, then we can find a solution. I do not understand your second question completely, because in a month, hopefully the TISA government is going to be set up, and by then that question is probably going to be off the agenda. So is a decision that already has been passed. I mean, Hungary had an opt-out from this question, and Hungary will stay out. But this was accepted by the Hungarian partner. So I think I have answered this question already. Next question from Sky News.
Thank you. Ivor Bennett from Sky News. You've said that those who have defrauded the country will be held accountable. Does that include Viktor Orban? Could he go to prison? And secondly, you have heavily criticized Viktor Orban's relationship with Russia and with Vladimir Putin. What will your relationship be like with Vladimir Putin? Will you speak to him? And if so, what will you say? Thank you.
Thank you very much. To your first question, I mean, to be clear, no, it's not the job of a politician, not the job of a prime minister. It's not the job of a party leader is to judge whether the next prime minister should be in prison or not. The prime minister's job, the job of the task of a government is to make sure that the judiciary is independent, that the investigation, that the prosecution is independent and provides enough sources so that these authorities can carry out that job. So the system of justice is going to be, they will have to investigate who committed what crimes to get back the asset. That is going to be the task of the ministry. So, and to see whether there are fences behind that. How did they avoid the laws, or that they made things secret, that they passed new laws, legal regulations, or defrauded procurement projects. So legally cannot happen that the strawman of Viktor Orban, the gas, the plumber, Mészáros Lőrinc. I mean, how did it happen that he became 5 times richer than the British royal family in 400 years? I mean, this person who can't read and write can hardly speak. I mean, he is an old childhood friend of Viktor Orban and his strawman. So I'm sure everybody thinks and feels that this is not quite legal and it's not possible. But again, I mean, this is not the job of Peter Magyar, and I would like to remind myself and also all politicians that to say things like X, Y, Z should go to prison or not. This is the job of the justice system, and we have to support the investigators and we have to support the defense department as well. I can see that there is a huge uproar. People are very upset that our country was defrauded and robbed, but we don't live in communism that we take away something without judicial decisions. Or court decisions. That's not my job to say that who should go to prison or not. In regard to the relationship between Russia and us, Mr. Putin and myself, I'm very glad that we heard from the Kremlin that they respect the result of the Hungarian elections, that they heard that me and my government will be ready to have a pragmatic relationship. I can only reinforce this. And just like many European countries have a pragmatic relationship with Russia, I mean, as I mentioned many times, we cannot change geography. So this is what we strive for. I mean, we are reliant on energy from Russia, and also we have the Pakshdi nuclear plant here. We have to look at all agreements and all contracts, and if necessary, then we will have to probably also stop certain contracts. But if Mr. Putin would ring, I would pick up the phone and I would tell him that please, after 4 years, stop this killing, stop the war. That has no meaning even from their point of view, because many tens of thousands of Russians lost their lives, and they ruined thousands of Russian families, and also Russian speakers within Ukraine. Their cities were bombed, they were killed or raped. So this is what I would tell him, but I think it would be a very short conversation, and I don't think he would stop the war upon my advice, but I do hope that he will stop the war as soon as possible. Thank you. So the next journalist is from the Ukrainian Independent. I congratulate you for the victory.
Fidesz campaign, scare campaign during the election, all about Ukraine and Zelensky and war. But since you're saying this is going to be a clear shift back to the EU and NATO and these values, how specifically is your Ukraine policy, TISA's Ukraine policy, going to be different to pro-Russian Fidesz Ukraine policy? And the second question would be connected. We've had now over a year of effort by President Trump, mostly with pressure on Ukraine rather than Russia, to make peace. What is your vision for exactly how peace should be achieved in your neighboring country? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Az első kérdés Ukrajna és Magyarország.
To your first question regarding Ukraine and Hungary, I can say that every neighboring country, TISA government, going to strive to have a good relationship, a friendly relationship with every neighboring country, and primarily because maybe not everybody knows, but Hungary is surrounded by Hungarians, thanks to an agreement from about 100 years ago. So there are lots of Hungarians living in Ukraine, and unfortunately less than a few years ago. We have historic cities there. and perhaps about 100,000 Hungarians are still in the war. So our first interest is to have a very good relationship with the countries surrounding us, to have a very open way of discussing disputed matters that concerns equally Serbia, Slovakia, and even with Austria, even though the matters might not be as sensitive as with the other countries. So I received the congratulatory message from your president, and I'm sure we are going to meet, if nowhere else than in the European Council, once I'm authorized, and I will be inaugurated as the Prime Minister. I will strive to have very good relationship with our neighbors. There were lots of open questions that remain after Viktor Orban, because they use these disputes, these differences for party political interests. And the other question, we were always very clear that in this situation, and I didn't change my mind every second, or say something in Budapest and say in Brussels, or say something in Moscow like Viktor Orban did. Everybody knows in Hungary as well that Ukraine is the victim here, that the 1994 Budapest Memorandum set out that is the task of every country that to retain their sovereignty, and nobody has the right from the outside to say that what happens after a 4-year war, at what conditions agreements should be made. So it can't be said that you should give up these and these territories. I mean, that's treason. I mean, Orban politicians said that. If this would happen to us, I mean, which Hungarian district would they give up? County would they give up? So this is not in the line with. So this is not in line with our history and our. So Hungary will be always a partner, and it's not up to Hungary to see whether there will be peace between Ukraine and Russia, but it's very important that there are guarantees, geographical guarantees and otherwise, that will be adhered to. So it shouldn't it shouldn't be like with the Budapest Memorandum. So when nobody actually made sure that it was adhered in 2012. I would like to emphasize again that we will have a good relationship with every neighboring country, but with Ukraine, it will be a precondition that the rights of the Hungarians living there should be provided. The right to use their language, the cultural matters. I mean, these should be sorted out and organized. I don't really understand why this didn't happen until now. There was always some sort of intention from both sides, but they never came to an agreement. I think the people living there, the Hungarians living there, are not asking for much, but they just want to have the same rights that they had 10, 15 years ago, so that they shouldn't be in fear that the Hungarian kids should not have to leave if they want to study or use their mother tongue. So I hope we will be able to sort these questions.
Minister-elect, thank you. In terms of your plans for joining the Eurozone, this has been part of your platform in running for this election campaign. Can you establish for us a timeline? Will you use that 2/3 majority in order to accelerate that process? And also on the 20 billion euros that is sort of on the sidelines from the European Union, can you establish a timeline there for when you'd like to see those funds unlocked? And just a final, if I may, just on the clarification on the 90 billion question that you've got a couple of times, because Orban has blocked the loan despite the fact that Hungary is not a party to that loan. It still needs unanimity at the European Council. Will you approve it? Thank you very much.
So the first question, the Eurozone. Yes, we talked about it quite a lot during the campaign that it would be Hungary's interest to join the Eurozone. Even in Bulgaria, they are paying with euros. So Hungary did not use the advantage, the flexibility that the membership of a non-Eurozone would provide. I mean, the government did not use that. They took very bad decisions. The Maastricht criteria were not adhered to, but acted against them. So most of the Hungarians and the Hungarian company leaders believe that it would mean a stability if we defined a deadline for the joining the Eurozone. But first of all, we have to check what the budget looks like. We have to do very quick debate about this membership. And once this period has passed, and then we are going to have a debate about the potential date and to see how and when Hungary will be able to adhere to the Maastricht criteria, which is in the interest of the country, because if that would mean a stability, a price stability. They would not have to face inflation that is at a record heights in the EU. So I can't tell you whether that's 2030 or 2032, but we would like to see first and understand what the budget looks like, where are the weaknesses, and regarding the 20 billion European fund, can tell you it's very important that we able to bring this back home as soon as possible, because with a lot of it there are very strict deadlines. I mean, and there are some where the deadlines expire in August this year. So we know about this, and the European Council knows this as well, and the committee knows this. So we want to see what is serving the Hungarian interest, that serves the interest of Hungarian companies and Hungarian citizens. I mean, there are four things that I can tell you now. This is the anti-corruption measures, including joining the European prosecution, and the other one is that the investigating authorities again become independent, the judiciary becomes independent, the media becomes free, and to stop the support, and also that the Hungarian academic circus, the universities and the Hungarian research institutes will be handed back to the researchers, and the universities also freed up. So we have to take these decisions. As I told you, my first road will take me to Warsaw, the second to Vienna, and the third to Brussels. I mean, this could be within 1 or 2 days, these three. So I hope that we can prepare an agreement, and I would like to speak to Ursula von der Leyen today on the phone so that I can explain what we can undertake, and they will be able to tell me what kind of timeline they can see realistic, so that we don't lose all this money that the Hungarian companies would need. So Orban government lost twice 1 billion at the end of 24 and 25. So we would not like to lose any more funds. And the other question again, so regarding the Ukrainian funds, I mean, I will again speak to the Union in the EU. So if there is any further decision necessary, I mean, that is only an administrative matter, because the actual decision was taken in December. So in the next month, or hopefully in the less, it's still Viktor Orban who is prime minister. So I asked him, so if there are any international obligations or decisions that he has to take, or he feels that something is important for the country, he should call me. He knows my phone number. We can talk about this, and I expect that as an incoming prime minister, he informs me and he doesn't take any decisions. But if he blocks anything or attacks something, then again, so if it's important for Hungary or for Europe, then I would like him to call me, and then I can inform him. Thank you very much that you came from so far away. So
from TVP World, the English channel of the Polish public broadcaster. I want to ask you, could you give us more specifics on the planned cooperation, closer cooperation with Warsaw? In what fields do you see this cooperation growing? And my second question is, you said that you will be making phone calls with other leaders after this conference. Do you plan to call US President Donald Trump, and how do you see the future cooperation with Washington after it openly backed Viktor Orban in this election?
Thank you. First question. Nyilván elmondtam, hogy egy nagyon szoros történelmi.
So I mentioned that we have very strong historic and cultural friendship between us with Poland. I spoke to the Prime Minister about it, that the historic cultural institutions we would reinforce, and what I mentioned already, so infrastructural connections as well, economic connections. So how is that we have much bigger investments with countries that are much further away from us, and at the same time our historic friend who is not that far away from us, we don't have such investments, we don't have joint ventures, we have no joint Central European platform. So we would like to do this on every field. So, but everything relies on an open and honest communication. The foundations would have to be set down again. And for me personally, it's also very important that also within the Visegrad 4, that the Hungarian-Polish connection should be unshakable. When I was in Brussels, I remember that the cooperation between the Visegrad 4 was so strong that the V4s had the same amount of votes as the German-French axis. So we were able to influence things together that we could not. And then our British friends were still there, and hopefully they will come again. So it would be very important. And it's not just Hungary's interest, it's also the interest of Poland. Poland will also be stronger if we have a strong connection with each other. And that also matters with the Czech Republic. So I received from Mr. Andrej Babiš, a very long letter. He congratulated, and we know that he was a very close ally of Viktor Orban, and he asked me to visit him in Prague. Prague is my second favorite city, so I'll be very happy to visit him, and we'll talk about how can we build a very strong V4 in spite of the political differences. The other question, US President Donald Trump, I don't think it functions in a way that I call him. So it happened that he called Viktor Orban in the kitchen, and the vice president actually traveled here during the campaign. And a lot of people attacked this, but I think every leader has the right to campaign for somebody, to endorse somebody. So there is no problem with that, but after the elections, this is probably different. And because we are in NATO and otherwise as well, America is a very important partner. So we have to do everything to, despite what happened during the campaign, that we have a very strong and good relationship with the States. I'm not going to ring Donald Trump, but if he or somebody else would contact the TISA government, then we are, of course, here for them. And I hope that on the 70th anniversary of 1956, when we are expecting the world leaders, that the American president or vice president will also be able to come and join us. And now the mic goes to CNN.
Orban was such a figurehead for the global populist movement. What does his defeat mean for movements like MAGA? And my second question is more Hungarian. Here in Budapest, you have such a large part of the infrastructure of that global populist movement, the think tanks, the learning centers, the MCC. What becomes of them, and do they continue to be funded by state money?
Thank you very much. First of all, what does it mean, the MAGA and these populist institutions, and the defeat of Prime Minister Orban in that field?
That is not my job to actually assess this, well, because MAGA and all this patriotic business, I mean, in the European Parliament, this is not our task, this is their task, and I believe that this is a big defeat for them. And we can also say that, Viktor Orban was the poster boy. I mean, what kind of poster boy? But I think he was sort of it was his brainchild to fight Brussels, the constant freedom fighting. Viktor Orban is a very interesting personality. I mean, I don't want to talk a lot about him. In '89, he was fighting against the Russians, and then he became the vice president of the Liberal International. Then he had another fight. Then he became the vice president of the European Populist Party. Then he was again elected as a prime minister. Then he was fighting against Brussels, against the American elite. I mean, the Democrats, when they had a Democratic president, and when then when the Republican president was elected twice. Then he started fighting against Europe. Then he established this network that was supported by state funds. And he always fought against something. And I think the job of the Hungarian Prime Minister not to constantly fight against somebody, against Europe or America, or against the liberals or against the conservatives, but he should. His job is to make the life of Hungarians better. He should deal with matters that actually concerning Hungarians, that the hospitals should not be closed, that we should not die 5 years before the European average. So yes, it's a huge defeat on the European level as well, and I'm sure that's not I mean, the whole world was watching this, and for us it's very important, of course, but the international attention that we received was definitely because that it's a huge defeat in this circle. So many congratulated us after yesterday's victory, and Orban Viktor's allies as well. And we can see that the vice president, the American vice president, when he was here, J.D. Vance, he said that they are going to work together with the next Hungarian government as well, whether it will be led by Viktor Orban or the opposition, who they didn't know at the time, but I hope we will get to know each other. So the Americans already dropped Viktor Orban then, and the Russians dropped Viktor Orban now when they issued their statement. And in relationship to the Patriots or the MAGAs, and I think for everybody, for all of those, Viktor Orban was rather an unpleasant presence, because he did not represent European interests, but Russian interests. So I think he was coming to the end, definitely. And now that he really suffered this huge defeat, I mean, for him, this was a rather humiliating defeat, that all the state propaganda, everything was thrown into. He was asking for support from East and West and everywhere, and he still suffered a defeat. So I think it was quite humiliated. To your second question, the state is not going to support these matters like Matthias Corvinus or the other institutions, and I think they should not have done it until now as well. That was a crime. So to mix up party matters with state matters. So that also will have to be examined and analyzed by the Agency for the Recovery and Protection of State Assets. I mean, there were no budgetary funds to support these. I mean, they're very welcome to come here, and if they want to come again, they can be supported by Fidesz and his cronies.
Hello, Tarakai from France 24. Thank you very much. I would like to stay on this theme of far right. Hungary has been seen as a laboratory of far-right policies. Lately, Marine Le Pen was here, Matteo Salvini, Geert Wilders. How do you see the impact of these results, of yesterday's results, on the rise of the far-right wing parties, especially in Europe, and especially that some countries will be having some crucial elections in the coming months and years, like France, for instance? And I'll let my colleague ask the second question.
Thank you.
Hi, Clovis Casali, France 24. So, another question on Russia this time. You spoke of the risks, the dangers for Europe previously on many levels. Do you believe Russia presents a security risk for Europe?
Thank you. The first question, the far right issue. Yes, ismerjük, igen, tudjuk, hogy
So we know, of course, yes, that these they are all very important partners of Viktor Orban, and they supported each other, and I can just say the same thing. So if they are looking for reasons, the European politicians are not on the far right or the far left, the anarchists, but in some sort of mainstream party, and they see that that there's a decline and the extremists start rising, then it's not just doing sort of sticking some plaster on here and there, but you have to look into the actual reasons. This is not an accident. So if the extremists are starting to become stronger, and I don't even like this expression in France, the National Front has lots of supporters. So, and I believe that and a lot of very decent French citizens who are patriots, who are supporting the National Front. I didn't like it either when Viktor Orban told us that we are a left wing. We are patriots. We are. So I would suggest to everyone, with respect, and I don't mind talking about this because I learned a lot about how people think in the last 2 years and how to do politics. We have to talk about the essence, and this is what I would suggest to the European leaders as well. They should stop this this politically correct speech. They should talk about what causes fear in the people, what is shaking people's sense of security. So Europe has treated the migration crisis very badly. They didn't realize that for a lot of people this is causes anxiety. What happens with the European culture or the employment or culture, and they were pretending to be a good person. They wanted to present how much they are helping the world's problems, but they didn't take into consideration the anxieties or the thoughts of their own citizens. But I can see it's a bit late, but most of the countries actually realized that that wasn't the correct path, and not because we shouldn't help those who are in trouble, but it's the problem should not be brought to Europe, but in those countries should be the problems solved, and not pretend solutions do we need to collect pasta and tin food, and then we are selling weapons to Africa, and that's where we are making a lot of money from. So I would like to tell everyone, and maybe people will not like to hear this, and I'm not saying this to attack. I can see that what's happening here, what happened here yesterday, that's a landslide, and so I believe the European leaders are looking at it as well to see how can they learn lessons from this, what can they take away from this. The fact is that you have to look after people. You don't need big pink slogans, but if Europe is in trouble, if Europe loses from its military power or defense abilities or the economic power, then we have to find solutions together, acknowledging and respecting each other's differences, the differences between the member states. So I'm going to talk to the president of the European Council. I spoke to them yesterday as well, and then for Mr. Costa, and I will take the opportunity to talk about so we should not force things upon each other. Europe has a slogan that together in differences. So we should respect each other. We do not have to be stuck together. It should not be a European United Nations. So, the Europeans don't want this. The European people, that's what I see in Hungary, definitely. They want to have strong nation states, operational, functioning states, and also a functioning European Union that provides a framework that supports people that's to travel free, that they can work freely and move and invest in each other's countries and live in peace. This is what we expect. That's what Hungarians want. I worked in Brussels 8-9 years. I told you that. So people think everything happens in Brussels and everything has to be said in Brussels and everything has to be regulated. That is not true. Less is sometimes more, and if less is altered to better, and it's better organized and everybody respects it, then that's much better and we get much further than we have hundreds of regulations and nobody adheres to them. So but let's not go that far just yet. So regard to what the far right means, and that I would say to every politician that they should work. This is what we asked our volunteers to do. They did that without payment. They were there in minus 20 degrees and plus 40 degrees. And yesterday, TISA got this, the biggest ever mandate, and we are extremely grateful to them. The second question regarding Russia, whether that's a security risk, I believe, yes, it does, and everybody knows that. We know the Russians. I'm not talking here about the Russian people, because the Russian culture, the Russian people are wonderful. That's not what we are talking about. But the Russian bear, we had a first-hand experience many times during Hungarian history, 1944, 45, and even before in the 20s, and also in 56. And then later on, they were here with us for a long time. So we know exactly what this whole thing is about. So I think Europe has to be able, and also separately the member states, and also Europe has to prepare to defend themselves. And I think it's not the right path. What the previous government did, that Russian hackers were coming and going in the ministries in Hungary and were getting their hands on sensitive NATO information. We are allies. I mean, we are in one group, in one team. And even in a football team, it's you don't do that. You go to the changing rooms to the other teams and tell them what your tactic is going to be. I mean, that's what Seattle Peter did. He had a hotline to the Russian foreign minister, so that's not on. Of course, foreign ministers should be in touch with each other, because we should apply diplomacy before anything else. But you're not talking to them if you're not providing sensitive information to the other side.
And One Serbia. We are CNN affiliate, one of last standing independent media in Serbia. There are serious allegations of coordinated activities between Aleksandar Vučić, the president of Serbia, and Viktor Orban, including the claims of a false flag operation recently in Serbia. So will you look into this once you get into your position, and will you redefine the relationship with Serbian authorities? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, the first question, Vučić, Orban. Először is köszönöm szépen.
That first of all, thank you. The congratulatory message for the Serbia, and yes, during the election campaign, there was an action on Easter Sunday when this alleged attack the pipeline. So it was an attack that it was announced by the Viktor Orban's people a week before. So I think the organizers, even the organizers, actually stopped doing this and walked out of this matter because we will actually investigate what actually happened, whether there was actually real danger, because it is possible if there was. So then the government has to actually act and not just play theater like Viktor Orban, who was flying around in a helicopter on Sunday to be scared together. Prime Minister has to guarantee the safety of the country. So the Hungarians have a right, and all Serbians have the right to expect that the country's security, safety, and peace is guaranteed. Under the government, we will have development, peace, and safety, security. I will be very happy to meet the Serbian leadership. I know exactly what's happening in Serbia, and I know what kind of relationships are or were or maybe will be between Orban and Serbia under Vucic, and we know also what kind of connections are with Fico in Slovakia and Orban, and I know who is behind it, who is the godfather behind these big friendships. But regardless, because of the Hungarians living in Serbia, it is very, very important for us that the current relationship that we can say it's good between Hungary and Serbia should continue like that. I think it's also the interest of the leaders of Serbia and our interest and the Hungarians in Serbia. I'm very open, of course, and even if we have a very different opinions with Mr. Vucic or the other Serbian leaders, but for us, a very good relationship is extremely important. We are not going to interfere with the internal affairs of other countries. I have seen myself what kind of demonstrations there are and what the authorities are doing, and I also know that with the media, like in Hungary, the Serbian independent media is also in great difficulties. I would send a message to them without interfering with the matters. They should look at yesterday's events and take courage from that. And this is the same message to every country where there is a hybrid regime, or where, so to say, are not exactly countries of rule of law. So if people join forces, we have seen that many times during history, then even the most difficult situations can be overcome. And in spite of all odds and in spite of all international support that Viktor Orban received, we can say that the whole global leaders were actually behind Orban Viktor. The Chinese, the Turkish, the Russian, the American leader from Israel, and also Vucic and Fico, and I could go on. And even so, the Hungarian people said history will be written in Hungary by Hungarians actually won. So this is what I can say. But even so, I say that I will be very happy to discuss, and I'm also going to talk to the democratic organization of the Hungarians in the Vojvodina, even though they were supporting Orban as well, and they said that. I would like to thank those who voted for us there, but I would like to tell every Hungarian beyond our borders that they can rely on us. They will receive the same supports. They will have double citizenship. They have the right to vote, and the money that they have received or would have received, that is not going to be stolen by those who are connected to Viktor Orban, but the money will get to the people who need it in Serbia or in Romania as well.
You said that Orban betrayed the Hungarian in Transylvania when he supported George Simeon. Why do you say that? Do you have a message now for the Hungarian people living in Romania? And the second question is, What are your intentions regarding political and economic relation with Romania? How will relation with the RMDS evolve, considering that Kelemen Hunor supported Viktor Orban and a large majority of Hungarians in Romania voted for Fidesz? Thank you.
Thank you. The first one, elárulta, igen.
He betrayed them. Yes, I mean, you know, George Simeon, who was a presidential candidate, and you know him. He had passed. He was he was stamping on the graves of Hungarians, of Hungarian soldiers. So such a person, even if he becomes a politician, afterwards a Hungarian prime minister cannot support. I mean, he cannot support next to graves of our ancestors in Hungarian churches. So he wasn't successful at the end, because the Hungarians living there and the Romanians either, they did not want to have Simeon and his politics. There were 500,000 leaflets were actually distributed to Hungarians. So about a person who was actually stamping on the graves of Hungarians. So this was considered a betrayal in Hungary as well, also in Transylvania, and it doesn't mean that some or many Hungarians would not have voted for Fidesz, because that's true. Many voted for Fidesz, and I could tell you why. I mean, they were misled because the propaganda worked there, just like here. So, the propaganda media supported by our funding. So day and night they were spreading lies about me and Tisa as well. I will support the Hungarians living in Romania and Transylvania. I was there often. I have family friends, I have relatives, so they mean a lot to me. But for Viktor Orban, they just lied, and his government just lied, and the RMDS also took part in that, headed up by Gunnar Kelemen. So they are sitting together in the European Parliament as in the fraction of the European People's Party. So in this campaign of lies and misleading our Hungarian brothers living there, so they all did that together. I don't think this was correct. I said that many times, but let's forget that. We finished the campaign. TISA received its mandate, and I will be elected as a Hungarian prime minister. And as a Hungarian prime minister, I will cooperate with every organization, with the Hungarians beyond our borders who are representing the Hungarians there, and I will provide all support myself and the country and the government that they need. So today or tomorrow, I believe there will be a phone call with President Mr. Hunor Kelemen, and we are going to talk about and reassure him that I'm not going to get sour about whatever was told about me. And politicians that can be connected to RMDS. I want to see what we can do together, the Hungarians. I'm looking forward to that phone call, and I hope we can work together. You had another question. So we are looking forward to the cooperation, and I would like to improve further the Romanian-Hungarian cooperation in terms of culture, economy, and also support our Hungarians living there. And I believe that is openness for this. We could cooperate in many areas if we could work together in respect and not just saying stingy remarks to each other. And I think we could further build our cooperation, and for example with the V4 we could not only extend to Croatia or Austria, but also we could make a V8 including Romania, for example.
Hello, Tom Kington from the Times of London. I have a question about the €1 million daily fine imposed
imposed by the European Union against Hungary for not complying with rules on asylum seekers, and what your plans are to perhaps end that fine, what you think you need to do, and whether you will do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Én azt tudom mondani, ugye több mint egy éve.
I can tell you that more than a year ago, I mean, first it was 2 million, and then later on a 1 million fine was issued against Hungary. So it's almost 1 billion euro that Hungary and the Hungarians have lost. That's a lot of money that's missing from the Hungarian health system and education system or the infrastructure. This happened because there are European countries and also countries led by Orban's allies to pass European legislation and not to have migrants in their countries. If Poland and Slovakia was able to do this, then we can do that as well. This is how we are going to act. So I will tell the European leaders that Hungary will have a very strict stance in regard to illegal migration. So we are not going to accept any allocation mechanism or pacts. We are going to keep the fence on the southern border, and we are going to patch up the holes and that are there, and I'm sure they are not there by mistake. And we are not going to release 2,200 human traffickers who were convicted. We are not going to take them to the Slovakian border. If that's so, we are honest, and we would like to protect our country and also Europe from illegal migration. Migration has legal forms, and that should be adhered to, and we will try a method to avoid paying this fine, because this money is really missing from the Hungarian budget, and I think that was also defrauding because Orban has not found a legal way to keep illegal migrants out and not to have to pay the fine. But we are going to find a way, and TISA is going to carry out a very strict politics in regard to illegal migration.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Mr. Magyar. Lukács Angelia, Rustavit with Georgia. Considering that Georgia and Hungary are having the long-standing friendship that is expressing in the strategic partnership, what should we look from you? How will you continue the relationships with Georgia, and would be there any closer cooperation with the government of Georgia and Tbilisi? Thank you.
Thank you. Természetesen fogjuk folytatni.
Of course, we are going to carry on regardless of the political situation. And I would like to say that generally, just because Viktor Orban's government had with a country in the Balkans or any country had close ties, it doesn't mean that because of the TISA government, Hungary will have worse relationships with these countries. Actually, the relationships will improve. I think it's everybody's interest that we can work together in economic prosperity and in peace. So I will be very happy to visit your country, to go to Tbilisi or elsewhere, and I'm looking forward to cooperation. We are not going to interfere into internal matters of other countries. We are not going to influence elections in your country or in North Macedonia or anywhere. That's not our job. It's not the job of any European country's leadership. Every leadership is elected to support their own country's development.
Excuse me, I'm not sure anyone is from the Slovenian or the Croatian. The Croatian. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Magyar, two questions. First one, you said during this press conference that you will not be standing in the way for legal procedures for some individuals that are in Hungary. Whether they are guilty or not, they should be proven in front of the court. Does that apply to Mr. Hernadi Zsolt? He is sought by Croatian judiciary, and he was never basically, Hungarian institutions have never prosecuted him. And Mr. Viktor Orban even told that he is a person of very special importance for Hungarian state. Do you have the same stance? I know that as a prime minister you won't be able to do anything. Courts should be doing that, but will you remove all the obstacles for Mr. Hernadi Zsolt to be delivered to Croatia and trialed in front of Croatian courts? And my second question is, in Mr. Orban's office, I believe still is standing a map of Greater Hungary, Hungary which also has parts of Croatia and other neighboring countries. Will you be removing that map, and what do you think of that map and the fact that Mr. Orban held it in his office for so long, and what kind of relationship do you expect to have with Croatia? Thank you.
Third one, voila. First question, Mr. Hernadi.
So I can tell you in regard to Mr. Hernadi, so I had the chance to meet with President Plenković yesterday on the phone as well, and I for the congratulations. So this inner mall friendship, that's a very long story, and I believe that on every side there are many lessons to be learned. So, for example, the international the compensations should be paid that the courts have the judgment have issued that should be paid to more. I would have to look at this file. I know that it's not accidental why the Hungarian courts have not extradited Mr. Hernadi. Objective justice was not guaranteed in many respects. What I can tell you is I'm going to look at the information. These are such these were such classified information that we didn't know. So us once I can have once I have insight into this information and the files, then I can get back to you on that. The third one is the cooperation. So the cooperation between Croatia and Hungary, I believe that, again, this is also a historic crime that Viktor Orban committed, that the relationship became quite cold between our two countries, a relationship that was very good and where we cooperate in many aspects. Lots of Hungarians love Croatia and go there, and there are also Hungarians living there. We also have Croatians, and we can live together in peace. We share a history, and that takes me to the other good question, the map of Greater Hungary. I don't remember what kind of map the Prime Minister has on his wall, but you said that is like a Danube. Hungary has a history. Hungary, the greater, you will see the map of Greater Hungary in many places. We are not denying our past and say that we remember with love to our past. So we can't deny 1,000 years. Yes, there were changes, of course. I mean, in terms of the territory of Hungary, sometimes certain bits belonged here or there, but this is the map that is quite widespread, and I don't see any problem with that. It doesn't mean that we are revisionists, if that's where you are going with your question, that because the Hungarian Prime Minister has such a map, or you see that on a scarf, I don't see that is a problem. And I think he said it as well. I don't want to protect him because I don't think he needs my protection, but I don't see that this is a problem, and that should not influence our relationship. And if we want to honest, so if we think back to the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy, we can see lots of good things, many things developed in that period, in Croatia and also in Hungary, many things. So we Hungarians look at it as a golden period, a golden era. Certainly we were not flawless, and definitely other countries are also not without flaws, but let's just build the relationship and improve the relationship. That's what I would like, and hopefully Prime Minister Plenković, we can develop a better relationship. We sit together in the European Parliament, so I'll be very happy to visit you, and we will also invite your Prime Minister.
so much. My name is Barbara Šišoláková, Media 360, independent media in Slovakia. I would like to ask you, you said you spoke with several leaders. Was Prime Minister of Slovakia, Robert Fico, among them? And if yes, what did you talk about? And the second one, during the campaign, Robert Fico said if Tisa wins, he expected relations between Hungary and Slovakia be worsened. Do you think so as well?
Thank you. Nem beszéltem Robert Fico miniszterelnök urak.
No, I have not spoken to Mr. Fico. If I understand, there was also a statement that even if they don't welcome, but they accept the decision and they are ready to cooperate with the elected Hungarian leadership, I can react to the statements of the Americans or the Mr. Fico or others. I mean, they were very close allies, perhaps too close allies to Viktor Orban, and they probably remain as such. But it means that the Hungarian and the Slovak Prime Minister will have to strive to have the best possible relationship. And I said that many times. It doesn't matter whether Mr. Fico or your president, what they think about the world, what party they belong to. The several 100,000 Hungarians, because of them, this is inevitable. Even if I did not want to have a good relationship, I would have to have a good relationship to the Slovakian leadership. But, and this is very big but in order to have a good relationship and so that we can get our this point of view a little bit closer, or even working together bilaterally or in the Visegrad 4 in economic or cultural cooperations. I mean, we have to sort out certain things. It's not acceptable, and I would like to emphasize this. So it is not acceptable in 2026 or 25 in Europe, within the European Union, and that European nationals are their lands are taken away and not paid for just because they are Hungarians, so because they differentiate between Slovak and Slovak citizens. So this is not acceptable in any way, and even less acceptable that they are passing legislation in the Slovakian parliament, and the president also signed this into law, so threatening Slovak citizens who are going to criticize or criticizing the Beneš decree. So many people don't know what this is about. The Beneš decree, it is where the Hungarians and Germans were collectively punished in Czechoslovakia, and the Slovakians have taken this over, and they say that it's still in force. But later on, when they joined the EU, they said, "Oh, this is just some historic memory." Means now they are referring to this historic memorandum. They are taking away the land of Hungarians for free. So I think this is how the most Slovakians think as well. I believe that the relationship between the people in Slovakia, whether they are from Hungarian or Slovakian background, they are living together. They want to live in prosperity. They want to found companies together. There are lots of mixed marriages, and it's always the politics that comes and uses the situation and tries to incite hatred or create some sort of tension between the Hungarians and the Slovaks. So I think this is an old story. So everybody has to see that we are past this, and I will strive to build the best possible relationship with the Slovakian leadership, and we need to sort this out, and there will be no compromise in this. And I will ask the European countries as well that they should not compromise on this, and there should not be any legislation that European citizens are threatened with prison if they are criticizing something that criticizing legislation that due to which their grandfathers were defrauded, taken away their assets, or lost their houses, lost their countries. So don't make it more difficult for the Hungarians who are Slovakian citizens. They pay tax. The same rights are due to them. So if this works, then we will have the best possible relationship between our leadership. And even this doesn't work. I mean, we still want to have very good relationship with the people there. I mean, Robert Fico is a very experienced politician, so I'm sure we are going to find some sort of common ground. We have half an hour left.
Thank you so much. And first of all, congratulations on your election. I'm Jesper Steinmetz from TV2 Denmark. This kind of press conference has been unheard of for 16 years. How are you going to make sure that freedom of press is restored in this country? What are you going to do with all the state-controlled or state-owned media? I mean, how are you going to make sure that they also adhere to normal European standards of freedom of press? And then secondly, allow me a personal question. How did your 3 sons react when they realized that daddy is going to be prime minister?
Thank you. Thank you. The first question, the freedom of press.
We said that very clearly, and I'm very glad to hold such events. And the ministers of the TISA government will always be there for the press. I mean, it's not just once a year under control. We are going to, we think, we have a very different opinion about the free press than the previous government. We are not going to build up a propaganda machinery. We only need 1 or 2 representatives who can answer questions. And I said that the several hundred million foreign to the taxpayers' money that could be used to renovate hospitals. The Orban government has used it for propaganda, and through companies as well. They financed propaganda machinery. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, we managed to achieve this fantastic result. So that for 2 years, year and a half, I was never allowed into the state television in this year and a half or 2 years. Maybe this sounds unbelievable. The viewers could hear hundreds of lies about me. They have lost many cases, but not once did they not allow me in there, not just there. But not even the TV Kettős or the other channels. The Hungarian media market, as of 70 to 80%, was or is still connected to Orban. The system. They were slinging mud at my family, at my colleagues, and even so, we were able to achieve this result. If this didn't happen, then probably the Fidesz would not have received even 10%. So I'm grateful to the Hungarian people that they didn't believe this misleading. So they practically laughed at it because there was so much, it was ridiculous and full of lies. So the Fidesz people, they had all sorts of ridiculous things slinging mud at me. So they published a cartoon. The Fidesz voters did not buy. The TISA voters actually bought it. They couldn't print enough because the TISA voters actually put some money into the coffers of the oligarchs. But I kept signing these cartoons where they were slinging mud at me. So immediately we are going to stop the banned support of the propaganda. We want to protect our taxpayers' money, and it's also not allowed under European law that they should be, certain channels should be have advantages. I mean, some channels received 10 times more national advertisements than RTL of all the viewing. So there should be a level playing field. There should be they should decide on a basis of competition where the government or where the companies want to have their advertisements. So the mafia people are not going to invest their own money into propaganda. They wanted to use the state money. So yes, the smiles were not actually honest. Yesterday evening, I already indicated it to them previously that they should work on their CVs now. So when I appeared on 8 different places, and I saw that they were getting really tired, and I told them that they will have a very long holiday after the 12th of April. So one of our first steps is going to be that the news broadcast from the state media will be suspended until we can provide that there will be independent conditions. So if necessary, we are going to bring together an organization, a forum to ensure that the standards of the BBC, for example, that we should have an objective news broadcast. So under our government, any politician from the opposition will be allowed into the media, so that we should have dispute. I mean, the propaganda has a humor. I mean, today I received an invitation to go into the state media to come and explain my program, and I understand the joke, but I'm not really happy about it.
Thank you for the floor. Valentina Brini from ANSA Italian News Agency. Have you already...
Sorry, I forgot one question. My 3 sons. Sorry.
Thank you for the question about my 3 sons. This was the most difficult thing for me in these 2 years, and this is going to continue to be the most difficult. I have 3 sons, 17, 14, and 12-year-old, 3 wonderful boys, and I was not able to be with them enough, and without talking too much about them. And it's a very delicate matter that your father is undertaking the leadership of your country from nowhere, and your life is turned upside down. And it's politically also sensitive, because where their mother stands. But for me, I have very clever boys. They are really wonderful kids, and they understood what this whole thing is about. They congratulated, and we talked about it, what kind of difficulties this is going to cause for them, and how their life is going to change. I hope as little as possible. Until now, nothing happened to them, and not when my ex-wife was a minister, and neither now that I'm in politics. There were lots of lies in the propaganda, and saying that my boys are not talking to me. I mean, when they are with me quite a lot, and we talk on a daily basis. So this was very difficult to cope with psychologically, but there are lots of Hungarians who actually suffer many more difficulties, and I don't want to complain. And I'm very grateful to my boys and to my ex-wife as well, that they are such wonderful young people.
It's just a quick question. Have you already spoken with Prime Minister Meloni, and also given the closeness of Prime Minister Meloni and the Vice Prime Minister Salvini with Viktor Orban? How do you think that the cooperation with the Italian government will develop? Many thanks again.
No, I haven't spoken to Giorgia Meloni. I would love to speak to her if I get the opportunity. I think Tajani, foreign minister, actually tried to contact me, and I will have to ring him back. I hope I will have also the chance to speak to Ms. Meloni. Italy is one of my favorite countries, and I have, and there's a very strong relationship between Hungarians and Italians historically, and we would like to also use the further cooperational possibilities culturally, economically. And of course, I would be very happy to meet the Prime Minister. She has also achieved wonderful things out of nothing, and not talking about internal politics. And she managed to create stability where it wasn't possible for a long time. And I think Italians as well think on the occasion that she's doing her job well. It's a very important country, one of the biggest and strongest member state of the European Union. So I'll be very happy to meet her. And again, just because somebody had a good personal relationship with Prime Minister Viktor Orban, it doesn't. We still can have a very good relationship, and we can have similar opinions, and we can do a lot in the interest of the development of these two wonderful countries. And I would love to go to Rome, or we would like to welcome her as well to Budapest or anywhere in the country.
Thank you for this press conference, Mr. Magyar. Xiaofei from South China Morning Post. So as you know, hundreds of Chinese companies have came to Hungary under Viktor Orban's rule. And then we have big mega factories from BYD and CATL ready to start full-scale production in the times of weeks or months. What position you mentioned that they were actually favored by Viktor's regime? What position do you see them occupy in your Hungary? Will you investigate their contracts, their public projects assigned under the Viktor Orban regime? And will you terminate them if you find traces of corruption? And second, you noted Beijing's congratulation messages to you. Will you be open to talking to the Chinese president, Chinese prime minister, or even a potential visit to China? Thank you.
Thank you. Second question.
Let's start with the second question. Of course, definitely, we are very open, and China is one of the strongest, biggest, most important countries. It's our interest, and I believe it's the interest of both countries. I would love to visit Peking and also Beijing, and also, of course, we would welcome the Chinese leadership here. Regarding the Chinese investment and also the South Korean investments, I mean, I just want to say that the legal regulations have to be adhered to, be that work related, free of corruption, or environmental regulations. They have to be adhered to. I mean, we would like that the investments that are realized here adhere to the health, work-related, occupational hazard, and also other rules of the EU. So a lot of state support or infrastructural investments has done Hungary in order for these companies to come here. So that's not a problem if they provide some added value to the Hungarian economy. If the Hungarian small and medium-sized companies can also contribute to them, and there is a kind of a chain of a value chain, and it contributes to the Hungarian welfare. So we are not going to accept that foreign companies come here and receive Hungarian state support without any Hungarians working there. They don't provide any added value to the Hungarian government, but they threaten the Hungarian voters or environment, and also endanger the health of the foreign workers, or but we can sort this out. We will have a minister of environment. We will have honest discussions about economic development, and we are going to prioritize Hungarian small and medium enterprises, and we are going to prioritize these to the big companies. So I'm quite sure that these companies, and we can talk about Samsung as well, the South Korean so they are adhering these big companies adhere to the regulations in South Korea and in China. So this is what we expect, that they should adhere to the regulations. They should protect the workers. They should protect the workers' health. health and the environment, and then everybody can carry on working. And we are very happy to see the investors, but we have to see the same interest. But maybe it's not our interest if there is a Budapest-Belgrade railway that's done with Chinese workers, Chinese investment, and it's built in Hungary from a lot of money that is missing from the development of the Hungarian railways. And also it is not even working because there were quite a lot of issues. So I think China's interest is the same, and our interest as well, to work together and to make sure that both countries will be able to develop as a result. So I'll be happy to visit Beijing, and we also look forward to welcoming the Chinese leadership.
Thanks very much for your patience with us, Mr. Magyar. I wanted to ask about the long list of officials whose resignations you requested yesterday in your victory speech. The president, the head of the Curia, the head of the National Judicial Council, the head of the Constitutional Court, several others. If these individuals do not resign, will you use your two-thirds majority in Parliament to try to force them out? And secondly, do you understand why some in Europe are worried that this dynamic suggests not a return to the rule of law, but the start of a cycle in which each new government will try to force out all of the independent officials from the previous one?
Thanks for the questions. Az elsőre azt tudom mondani, hogy
for the first question, we will repeat our call, whether the head of the Curia or the head of the Constitutional Court or the President, if they would look in the mirror at home and ask the question whether they have done everything in order to serve the Hungarian people, to protect the Hungarian people, so that they act in line with their oath, and they are not just following party orders and the orders of mafia bosses. So I think they would tell themselves that they have not carried this out. And in this case, if a person still has some dignity left in them, and if that power has gone, and the Hungarian people have voted for a system change, I said that in advance as well. I said that from the outset that we want a change of system. It doesn't mean that that if the previous party leaves a few representatives. So talking about the rule of law. So if we change, they have changed the basic law. They have lots of puppets in the government, so that they make it impossible for the next governments to function and to act. I don't think they actually expected to have such a defeat. I think that goes against the rule of law. So I also mentioned that we are not trying to implement steps that go against the rule of law to reestablish the rule of law. So the two-thirds majority provides us with the mandate to change state structures. So yes, my answer to your question is yes, and nobody should be scared or should feel that it is going to be some sort of circle that you mentioned, that this is just getting redressed. So for me personally, it's also very important that my own authority as a prime minister should be also limited. We were talking about it also as a party leader. There is a list of 63 items on the wall that if I make a mistake here and on any of that respect, they should remove me. I don't want to be here forever. I don't want to become rich. That's a big difference. And all the in TISA, they're all experts. So like Kapitány István, who cannot be compared to the people who never actually worked in the private sector, never took any risks, and they were just from the age of 19, they were part of the party structure and robbed the country clear. So our country was kept hostage. It was a captured state. And the Hungarians had enough of that. So yesterday, the Hungarians did not just vote against the Fidesz. They didn't just get rid of Viktor Orban, but against the whole elite. So all the even the opposition, his own opposition, and all the media or economic elite. These people kept this country hostage. In 2004, when we joined the European Union, Hungary was a front-runner country, and today Hungary is the most corrupt and poorest country. I am a lawyer. I will never do anything to repair the rule of law with steps against the rule of law. But I expect these puppets, myself, and also everybody, to take the responsibility, the personal and professional responsibility that they were part of such a mafia.
Thank you very much. Regina Vaidyanathan from the BBC World Service and BBC News Channel. Prime Minister-elect, you say you're not going to call the US president, but if Mr. Trump calls you, what will you say to him?
It depends what the question is going to be and what the topic is going to be. I believe I will say that I'm very glad that you called me, because Hungary and America are strong allies in NATO, and also we are very important economic partners. And I would tell him that we are ready and open, that this close alliance develops further, and that we can also further utilize these opportunities. And I would like to invite him to the 70th anniversary of the 96 uprising to our in October.
Gratulálunk mi is a tegnapi győzelemhez. Az lenne a kérdésünk, hogy
our question is that during the Orban government, the foreign one very important pillar of the foreign policy was opening to the east. So how is this going to influence now the relationship with Japan or the other Asian countries? It's not going to change. Thank you for your question. We said that many times, that whatever is good and is functioning, we are going to keep, and what needs to be fixed, we will fix it. And we talked about corruption, then we are going to stop that. But it still, I mean, the Asian countries can be the most important economic partners. It's our interest, and I believe the Asian countries' interest is to continue in our cooperation. We don't want to have any changes, but we will always say that we are members of the EU. The EU is our alliance. So if that, so we are part of the European club. I mean, even the Asian countries are part of certain alliances. So I think these can be aligned, and I will be very happy to continue discussions. And of course, our incoming economic minister as well. And I think he already got in touch with everybody while he was the vice president of Shell.
Thank you, Mr. Magyar. It's James Crisp. I'm from the Telegraph of London. You're a conservative gentleman. You're a former member of Fidesz. What will you do differently to Mr. Orban when it comes to issues such as abortion rights and LGBT rights? Will you still ban pride marches, for example? Thank you.
Thank you. Just a second.
I think I'm very different from Viktor Orban in almost every respect, but sometimes I hear these fears and worries that we are also too similar in many things. I don't think so. They say that I almost speak as well as he does, but I think I do. I speak much better, and that I have as much perseverance as him. But I think I'm much more than him, and there's evidence in our campaign as well. But I think we are very different. I said that last year as well several times that in Hungary everybody has the right to associate and to meet the question of abortion that is solved in Hungary, and it's not being questioned. We also said that according to TISA and according to many million Hungarians supporting TISA, everybody can live with and love anyone they want until they are not harming anybody else. I think I said everything with this, and this includes everything without having to go into too many details. This is what I can say. You asked me only about these things, but I think we are very different in every aspect, and I would like to emphasize that I'm not away from my boys so much, and I didn't give up my fairly easy and good life to build a second Orban Viktor. So I want to be sure that we can build a very humane, European and free Hungary. Yes, I'm a conservative. I'm right wing, and I'm coming from a family who loves their country. I have wonderful ancestors, and they raised me so that if the country is in trouble, then we have to help it. Then we have to say the problems, even if it results in resignation. I quoted yesterday a previous prime minister that I want to serve the country as long as I can serve the country. But if people had enough of me, or if I feel that I can't help or somebody else could do this job better, then I'd be very happy to step aside. There are 5 minutes left.
Thank you, Alex Folady, Irish Times. On the subject of migration, could you clarify something for me, please, Prime Minister-designate? You have said you reject the EU's migration pact. Does that mean simply the settlement of people under a quota in Hungary, or does that mean also rejection of the payment of a solidarity contribution as an alternative to accepting migrants under the quota? Thank you.
Thank you. We reject both, but there is a third solution that several countries apply. There is a third solution in this pact, the migration pact, that we are supporting other countries' defense, not by money, but sending police or sending soldiers, and that is going to continue. This is our interest as well. I mean, we don't we reject both, but we are going to continue to support in the same way as before. Thank you.
My name is Bogdan Bocilă from DG24. Mr. Magyar, I would like to ask you a question. So Viktor Orban, 36 years ago, was a promising young politician, a liberal politician who protested against Soviet presence in your country. But as he gained power, he turned into the more authoritarian figure that you described in this conference. What is your guarantee to the to the Hungarian people and to the EU countries that this new, young and charismatic leader is not going to go in the same path in the near or distant future?
Thank you. First of all, the second guy is not so young as young Prime Minister Orban was in 1989, unfortunately. De a különbség egyébként azt tudom mondani, hogy
But the difference, I tell you, perhaps has become transparent, that it's in our promises, in our program, well, and one is that to have checks and balances, that we would like to establish this system. But if we wanted to do anything incorrect, or if we became, or we would starting to go on the path that Orban Viktor took, and that this young person who stood up for democracy, etc., and became what he became, our government, our community would not allow this. I mean, the government is small, but we had 50,000 50,000 volunteers. I mean, the people who never took part in politics. I mean, they're the so-called Tisa Isles. I mean, they are the basis, they are the backbone of this community. Without them, we would not have achieved anything. They would be the first ones who would send us packing, send the government packing, if we did not if we did not work on a plural democracy and would not building a European country. But we don't have propaganda, and we don't want any propaganda army, and we don't have any economic power. I mean, they stole half the country. We don't want to, but we couldn't even do this, because you will see the constellation of the ministers and the governments. They are coming from very different areas. Fidesz had the advantage, and that's why they were able to grow into a sort of a mafia and a pack of thieves, because they came from the same classroom. 89, 99, they were together. They knew each other's past, each other's sins. They were used to each other, and they built such a mafia state. It's not so easy, luckily, to build such a thing. I cannot guarantee anything, but you will see how we function, and Europe will see it as well. I mean, we don't want to prove ourselves to Europe, but first of all to our own country, and we would like to have very close ties, of course, with the EU. So we would like to carry out the program that they can take us to task about. I mean, the Fidesz doesn't have a program. They haven't had a program. Is there another party that doesn't have a program? Viktor Orban was too scared to appear in a debate. He was also hiding from me. He was hiding behind skirts, behind his 86-year-old father, and whoever knows behind somebody. And the Hungarians are no longer interested in a scaredy cat, in somebody who is afraid and also steals. So we want to have a pluralist democracy. We want to have protect every Hungarian. This is the type of country we want to build, where every Hungarian can rely on their own country, where there are national minimums, like the protection of the children, the respect to the elderly, the protection of public money. So this is the kind of country that we want to build, and a country where we have to unite the Hungarians, because under Orban Viktor, they incited hatred. They divided Hungarians. This is the biggest sin that a leader can commit. We know exactly from our history, if Hungarians are divided, that causes a lot of damage to the country. We would like to cover these trenches, and we would like to have a united nation and work towards a much nicer country, a much nicer future for our children and our grandchildren. Thank you for the opportunity. And now I will have to speak to my European colleagues. Thank you very much for being here.